Today we profile Franklin Delano Roosevelt, affectionately known as FDR. From 1928 to 1932, he was the governor of New York. He was the 32nd president of the United States of America. He led America during the depths of the Great Depression and launched the New Deal. Roosevelt was re-elected 3 times, making him the only U.S. president to serve more than 2 terms. After the attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941, he led the nation through World War II. Franklin Roosevelt was born on January 30th, 1882 in Hyde Park, New York, into a wealthy and prominent family. He was the only child of James Roosevelt and Sarah Delano Roosevelt. As a child, he was educated by private tutors and attended elite schools. In 1900, Roosevelt enrolled at Harvard University, where he developed an interest in public service and politics, although he was not a particularly outstanding student. After Harvard, Roosevelt studied law at Columbia Law School, but left before completing his degree, choosing instead to enter the political world. In 1905, he married Eleanor Roosevelt, his distant cousin and the niece of President Theodore Roosevelt. Their partnership would grow into one of the most significant political alliances in American history. Roosevelt's political career began in earnest in 1910, when he was elected as a Democrat to the New York State Senate. His success in a Republican stronghold demonstrated his political potential. In 1913, President Woodrow Wilson appointed him Assistant Secretary of the Navy, a position he held during World War I. This role gave Roosevelt valuable experience and national visibility. In 1920, Roosevelt was chosen as the Democratic nominee for vice president, running aside James Cox. Although they lost the election to Warren Harding and Calvin Coolidge, the campaign helped FDR become a well-known figure in national politics. In 1921, at the age of 39, Roosevelt was stricken with polio, a disease that left him permanently paralyzed from the waist down. At a time, such a disability might have ended a political career. However, Roosevelt showed remarkable resilience and determination. He withdrew from public life for several years to focus on rehabilitation, including treatment at Warm Springs, Georgia, which he later developed into a polio treatment center. Roosevelt never fully regained the use of his legs, but he taught himself how to walk short distances with braces and a cane. More importantly, he worked hard to project an image of strength and vitality. His refusal to be limited by his disability became a powerful part of his public persona and political narrative. Roosevelt returned to politics and in 1928 was elected governor of New York. During his time in office, he implemented progressive policies to combat the effects of the Great Depression, which began in 1929. His pragmatic and experimental approach to governance during this crisis elevated his national profile and laid the groundwork for his presidential campaign. In 1932, Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected President of the United States during the depths of the Great Depression. Upon taking office in 1933, he launched the New Deal, a series of programs, public work projects, financial reforms, and regulations aimed at relief, recovery, and reform. These included the creation of Social Security, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC. FDR's New Deal fundamentally reshaped the role of the federal government in American life. His policies helped restore public confidence and provided a safety net for millions of Americans. Although not all New Deal programs were successful, and many were controversial, they represented an unprecedented federal response to economic crisis. Roosevelt was re-elected 3 times, making him the only U.S. president to serve more than 2 terms. As the world edged toward war in the late 1930s, FDR maintained a delicate balance between neutrality and preparation. After the attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941, he led the nation into World War II. As Commander-in-Chief, Roosevelt played a central role in directing the Allied war effort. He worked closely with British Prime Minister Winston Churchill and Soviet Premier Joseph Stalin in developing military strategies and post-war plans. His leadership during the war was widely praised, and he was seen as a symbol of stability during a time of global upheaval. He also initiated the development of the first atomic bomb and worked with the other Allied leaders to lay the groundwork for the United Nations and other post-war institutions, even coining the term United Nations. Franklin D. Roosevelt died on April 12, 1945, just months before the end of World War II. He was succeeded by his Vice President, Harry S. Truman. Roosevelt's death marked the end of an era. He had been president for over 12 years, guiding the nation through its greatest economic and military challenges. FDR's legacy is immense. He is credited with reshaping American liberalism and expanding the power and scope of the federal government. His leadership during the Great Depression and World War II set a standard for crisis management and presidential authority. Roosevelt's impact is still felt today, not only through the institutions he helped build, but also through the endearing idea that government can and should play a role in securing the welfare of its citizens. Franklin D. Roosevelt remains one of the most admired and consequential figures in American history. Here are some quotes by Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Which the present situation of our people impels. So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasonable.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the assessment that something else is more important than fear. When you come to the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on. There are many ways of going forward, but only one of standing still. Take a method and try it. If it fails, admit it frankly and try another. But by all means, try something. The only thing worse than an enemy is a false friend. The more you know about the past, the better prepared you are for the future. Here's a letter dated January 15th, 1942, written to Judge Landis, the Commissioner of Baseball. My dear Judge, thank you for yours of January 14th. As you will of course realize, the final decision about the baseball season must rest with you and the baseball club owners. So what I am going to say is solely a personal and not an official point of view. I honestly feel that it would be best for the country to keep baseball going. There will be fewer people unemployed, and everybody will work longer hours and harder than before. And that means that they ought to have a chance for recreation and for taking their minds off their work even more than before. Baseball provides a recreation which does not last over 2 hours or 2 hours and a half, and which can be got for very little cost. And incidentally, I hope that night games can be extended because it gives an opportunity to the day shift to see a game occasionally. As to the players themselves, I know you agree with me that individual players who are of active military or naval age should go, without question, into the services. Even if the actual quality of the teams is lowered by the greater use of older players, this will not dampen the popularity of the sport. Of course, if any individual has some particular aptitude in a trade or profession, he ought to serve the government. That, however, is a matter which I know you can handle with complete justice. Here is another way at looking at it. If 300 teams use 5,000 or 6,000 players, these players are a definite recreational asset to at least 20 million of their fellow citizens. And that, in my judgment, is thoroughly worthwhile. With every best wish, very sincerely yours, Franklin D. Roosevelt. His life, marked by personal struggle and historic political achievement, spanned an era of profound change in the United States and the world. That's the story of Franklin D. Roosevelt. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy these messages of inspiration, please like, subscribe, and/or share them with family and friends. And until we meet again, please remember, with God, anything is possible. Spall.